Welcome to One Page Story Extravaganza Livestream with Run C Man. I write and illustrate a one-page story every day based on ideas that come from viewers like you. Maybe today will be your idea. Okay, hi. It's Tuesday and 2 o'clock, so let's get to read to it. As usual, start of a stream. I will show today's page. Today's page was a number of random pencil drawings that I'd scanned, put into the robot, and then had a lot of fun with a couple of different things like repetition of an image and overlapping of it, and then taking additional imagery and overlaying that and inserting that throughout. So there's this sort of staticky element that goes through it. I was just trying something different, and then addition to that, a little bit of scribbling. Why not? So just a fun different approach to try out, and a lot of the color elements that were in the original surfaced paper, which had some jelly plating on it and things like that, came through quite nicely. So really pleased by that. Okay, hiya Linda, hiya Tim, welcome aboard. So, a couple things to chat about today. For those of you that have been, wondering what's going on and what the changes are, a couple of quick things. I'll be streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays for sure. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays I have fun videos for you. The first video went up yesterday. If you're on my Patreon, you get to see them the day before, which means if you're on my Patreon, you get to see the next one of these. I'm going to show you a quick little clip, but I am doing read-alongs of my one-page stories. Hi, Susanna, welcome aboard. So here's a little bit of one, okay? Welcome to the One Page Story Extravaganza Read-Along with Run C Man. Here's today's story. I remember the show that I loved as a kid. It was about these two parents that each had 3 kids of their own. Dad had 3 boys, Mom had 3 girls. They all seemed to share a single bathroom, I think. It was between the kids' room. Oh yeah, they all walked down the stairs together. The universal family. The characters were all stereotypes of family members, like disappointed mama, the girl that all... Alright, well, I'm just going to cut it off there because I'm a monster. Yeah, so the video's up on YouTube. It's the first of 20. I've now made 20 of these, and so they'll be going up Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of the week. So while I'm not doing live streams on those days because I'm trying to, 1, finish a number of projects, and 2, really retool how we're doing the stream. So in addition to this, hi buddy, in addition to this, there's Corbin's just joined me. Linda says that is so cool, it made me laugh. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. So in addition to this, we've got tutorials coming up, like nicely edited, shorter tutorials, little package tutorials. Time-lapse drawings are coming up. Slideshows are coming up of the postcards for postcard month of Corbin. Linda says hi. He just looked at me. So what else? Time-lapse tutorials, the read-alongs, and slideshows are a whole bunch of stuff going up on the YouTube channel, in addition to doing some live stream stuff that we and of course I'm still doing one-page stories every day. It's just a case of the live aspect of it is Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I think it's exciting times. Exciting times. So let's one more quick show, just because you've all been so good. What else can I show you? Oh yeah, here's a fun thing with Corbin. This is how many of our videos end. You ready, buddy? Ready to do your part? Just give me a quick second, because I gotta make sure it's set up correctly. Okay, here we go. Here's the Corbin show. Meow. Wah. Yeah. Meow. So that's at the end of every video. Linda says I'll need to leave at 2. And student coming in for tutoring. Nice. That's 2 Central, so that's like an hour. Yeah. So I appreciate you stopping in, Linda. So yeah. So that's you know, some of the fun things that I've been up to, and in addition to that, Alphabet Book is out on Amazon now, and we're just wrapping up One Page Extravaganza 2 for the end of the month. So and we'll be putting that out. So we have somebody that's joined the team. I have a team now that's doing a lot of promotional stuff. So if you see on different social media that it's coming up, that little short videos and adverts and things like that, that's what that's related to. So I'm gonna shut off a few things here. Got lots of stuff open. So yeah, okay. All right, so I was gonna go over a couple things. Right, Corbin? Yeah, he's fine. Oh, Susanna says I bought it already. Oh, that's wonderful, Susanna. Thank you. It's the same as the last. If people are able to, I would appreciate if they put reviews on the Amazon page for the book, and send me a picture of holding up the book, and we're mailing stuff out to folks. So you know, just some fun in the sun. All right, I'm going to switch cameras. So, okay, well, here's Sketchbook Doodles. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today in a tutorial here is I want to advocate one more time this approach of quickly sketching things in an intermediate value, okay, and then tightening them up in a darker value. Okay, so the principle is, well, let me just grab another piece of paper here. So the principle is this. Right, Corbin? Okay. If I've got a white surface, a simple plain white surface, and I'm going to jump in on the zoom for this, just so you can see things. So, oh, that's going the wrong way. There we go. Just so you can see things a little more clearly. Now, one more time, Suzanne, I appreciate that you picked that up. I don't know if I said that clear enough. So, okay, so if this is, what I'll do is I'll lay it out like this, so it's a little bit easier to see. Now, if you've got 3 values, and I'm going to draw a box for each one, okay, if, let's say that this is our white, you know, or base color of the paper, all right? Sometimes, let's put that parenthetically. So white or light, how's that? And then we've got, I'm going to put a second square here, okay? And this is what I'm calling our intermediate. And then we have a third square that I'm putting in here. So I'll write down black or dark, right? Linda says I'm getting it in this. Oh, that's super cool. Thank you, Linda. Thank you very much. Okay, so what I'm going to do for this is I'm going to leave the white square empty. Okay, we're not going to put any value in that. But then I'm going to take this light orange water-based marker, and I'm just going to fill in this square for our intermediate value. And then I'm going to take this Fudensuke pen, which is should be a little bit darker. Yep. And I'll fill in. This is our dark value. So what I'm talking about today is some of the examples that I've shown before. Let me see if I can find better examples. Yep, here we go. So some of these pages that I've drawn before and I've shown people is where I'll draw in the orange intermediate value. Okay, and so I'll draw this composition, and then I'll come in with the darker value. In this case it's a red, and I'll pick out the details, the dark values. I'll start putting those in, putting in some shadows, right, doing some outlines here, and it really doesn't matter what this second, like what that darker color is, as long as it's darker than the intermediate value. And so what you're doing when you're drawing this way is you're thinking about the composition, and you're thinking about the objects in it, and you're leaving out, you're not putting down any marks for the areas that you know are light, or in the light, or like if you were to draw the face like we've got here, you leave the cheeks and the nose here, and the brow ridge here all clear, all in white, but you put some of that orange in for the cavities of the eyes. Okay, and not worrying about detail in this stage, because you're going to come through with that darker value and apply more form, more structure, more detail that way. And so what it does is it lets you just be free and loose and just shapes, just fun shapes of things, and then you define them a little more clearly with that second mark making tool. And when you're working on paper, so I drew this panel for the last panel of this one-page story, and I realized, this doesn't have the impact that I want. So on another piece of paper, I drew a close-up shot of this person's face. I put more contrast in the structure of their face instead of just blackening it out. And because it's focused in more closely, and it allows for more emotional emphasis. It's not about having a finished, everything's perfect on your one drawing. There's nothing to say that you can't use numerous drawing surfaces. But what I wanted to talk about before that is a good way to get a handle on using three values in composition. And I've talked about this before, showcasing Alex Toth and his ability to use three values. I'm going to see if I can get here's a good example for you. So in this composition here, okay, in this page, now I'm focused in, I'm zoomed in, so you're only going to see part of it. Just give me one sec. So on this page you can see that for the landscape here below the fight, the drawing, the details of the airplane fight up in the sky are using black ink, or the dark value. The clouds that they're flying, as they're flying in the sky, the clouds that are in the distance or further ahead in the sky than them are done in gray. And then the white is used as a sort of second drawing element of that. So that, you've now added a lot of depth to that image. Here's another example of the same thing, but in this case, in this panel, you've got a horizon line drawn in, you've got all these planes flying in the sky. The white is the void of the sky, and you imagine it as a light blue, but the clouds are put in with that intermediate value as well as the shadow on the ground. And it sort of gives this sense of depth, this additional complexity to how you go about doing compositions. And Alex Toth was absolutely brilliant at this. I was talking with somebody last night at the comic jam that we host here in London, and about utilizing this measure. And one of the things that I wanted to show and to advocate once more with everybody else utilizing this 3-tier system of white, or of light, dark, and intermediate, if you were to just simply sit down, okay, with a piece of paper and start looking around the room, that wherever you are, wherever you're sitting is an easy way to do this, and you look at spaces in the room, okay, so, and you just make a square shape for your frame of reference, a lot of quick little squares. And the reason that I'm saying a lot of quick little squares and rectangles and shapes like that is because the frame of reference isn't necessarily the most important part of this. What it is you having a sense of understanding of depth utilizing these 3 values. So if I look in the corner of my studio, okay, well, I'm going to start with the intermediate first. And I'll stick to these colors that I've represented. I'm pulling out a different one there, I'm sorry. So in my studio corner, I have some images hanging on the wall, and in front of them in the corner of my studio, I have a large screen television on the mantle, and then here's the window and the space behind that I'll put in like so. So there's a quick and fast and really abstract way of representing this one little image, right? So as this dries, hopefully it's dry enough. The problem with water-based markers is that if you do it on thin paper, you can really easily wreck your paper quickly. So now I'm going to come in with this darker value, and I'm going to pick out some of those aspects of that composition to bring a little more focus and attention to detail on things. And so I draw the bureau that the television's sitting on. I draw the black screen of the TV. I put the frame around the one picture hanging on the wall. I'll put a frame around the other one there. You get a better sense of perspective going in on the image. And then on the window that's here, there's the other, little piece of perspective. Very simple, very basic image. But what it's allowing me to do is to represent what's going on in this corner of this room in a quick and fast way. And so whenever I look at anything around me, like whatever it might be, I want to just start practicing and playing with this notion of using these 2 mark making tools, these 3 simple values, in trying to figure things out. I've got on my studio desk, I've got 2 containers with drink in them. One is full and one is not. Okay, and some objects around them on the desk. And so I'm just going to represent this by putting in a couple of quick marks. And again, if I need to, I can put the frame of reference there. Again, it's not really important, but if it helps, it helps. So I gotta let this dry for a second. And while it's drying for a second, let's do another quick one. My imprint, yeah. So here is my sketchbook, or one of my sketchbooks, anyways, and just the one I showed you. That's all. And it's on top of a pile of papers on the desk. So and then there's another stack of books here. So I'll come to this in a second, because right now it just looks like a hodgepodge of value. So let's go back to this first one, which will have dried now. And so the 2 drinks that are on my they're soda streams. I don't know if people drink from soda streams. And I made one just before the stream, and I forgot to bring up the other one and to fill it with water and put it in the refrigerator. So I've now got a mostly empty one and a brand new full one on my desk. So I'm going to put the outlines here, and then see, I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick out these details on here. There is my insulin container. Here is a sharpener. I'm not, again, worried about all this specificity of what's in the image. I'm doing this really basic. There's the magic book with the suggestions in it. I'm doing a really basic application of mark making tools to help me just to have a different quick and fast understanding of composition and how I can arrange it using these tools. And I really haven't drawn the area around, so let's do that quick, even though it's a little bit of overlap with the next image as well. So here's the desk that things are on. Here's a stack of books. Guess what? Another stack of books. And there is the sketchbooks. So we'll come back to that in a second. But let's go to this third one now. That's nice and dry. So I drew the sketchbook that I just showed you. Okay, so there it is on a stack of, this is the pages that I've just finished scanning all the original art for the process pages of Alphabet Book 2. So that's what that's sitting on top of. Behind that is another little stack of books up here in the corner. And then there's one on top. And then we've got the line for the desk here. And in behind, in the background, there's a studio chair from my other desk over there, and the countertop, and there's shelving underneath it. But what we're drawing attention to is this imagery here. So it's just a fast and quick way for you to look at ways and means of understanding space around you without getting too worked up about everything being perfect and everything looking in whatever way that that you think of as an absolutely finished result, so that when you're looking at your art and you're like, that's the best drawing I've ever done. We're not worried about the best drawing I've ever done. What we're worried about is exploring our compositions using these three values, and without overthinking too much, literally just looking around the space that you're sitting. And so what that gives you is just the chance to draw random elements, picking and choosing what you want in and what you don't, and that way maybe when you sit down to actually work out an image, there's a part of you that has this more finely tuned sense of compositional arrangement. And Chris has joined us as well. Hi everyone watching from the balcony, about to enter my classes. Hey, have a great day, Chris. So let's try a couple of more. So here is my monitor that's directly in front of me. Okay, and that sits above where I have this little sketchboard. Okay, and then there's a long ruler at the side, and then there's the desk with all the information material that's over there, some pencils. Again, we're not overly concerned about all of the fine details. So, and then there's a little side monitor here. Randomness, just pure randomness. So let that dry for a second. So when you look at it, it doesn't make an awful lot of sense initially. But it should to you in the sense that you're looking at it as the forms and how those forms interrelate to one another. I'll come back to this one. There's our sketchbooks in here, and see, so in this drawing I have omitted the two water bottles right here. These water bottles are omitted from this drawing, and in this one I've focused a little more clearly on, here's the sketchbooks, here's that stack of paper. In this drawing I also omitted the tray of pencils, right? And here's the second pile of pages, drawn pages and stuff like that, and books that are gathered up here. Now I could just black this out because it's not important, the desk area that's in the back area. But this is two different compositions made from the same space, leaving things out and putting things in. Chris says, with my current schedule at university, I can watch you on Wednesdays only, but you're not streaming. I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. But I am putting up a bunch of other videos and things as well. Hopefully that's going to make everybody happy. Okay, so this is dried. Let's go back to this, using the same method. And so what I've got is the monitor that sits, well, this monitor, I have a few of them. that sits in front of me. Yeah, I'm sorry about the change in schedule for the time being, but it's enabling me to do a bunch of things. And we'll put some of the information that's on it. And right, because it doesn't matter. This isn't trying to replicate the perfect scene in front of us. This is us trying to get a gist of what we're doing. I will be doing the occasional things on Wednesdays. I'll have interviews with folks on scheduled on Wednesdays. I don't have any immediately planned right now. We're just working on putting some together. But I'm just guaranteeing that Tuesday and Thursday will be the days that I'll always be here. So here is the ruler that I'd mentioned. There's the top of that sketchboard. Here's another monitor that's over at the side, which faces a different direction, and a speaker unit. So all this is just to sort of get an idea of putting together the compositional elements that we see in front of us, and not being overly concerned about this is a perfect drawing, everything's representational of the actual objects. You just want to have things laid out in such a way as it makes sense to you. And then so there's the rest of that space there. So without drawing a border on it, you get a gist of the idea. Jim says, I hear you have a really in-depth interview with Jim Luan coming up in the next few weeks. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, I'm just waiting for Jim to send me a date, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, in the next few weeks, and when he wants to do that. And as soon as Jim does that, we'll set up that interview. That'll be fun. Hi, Azuni Zoom. How are you? Okay, so without drawing a border on this, you get the idea of the composition. So like I say, you don't even need to be overly concerned about this having some fine frame around it, and is it done with a ruler? None of that matters. You're literally just exploring ways to look at environments around you and to try to draw them. And then of course, once you get a handle on that, that is the point where I would suggest you then sit down and start playing in your imagination. The airplanes that I showed you is a really great way to do that. If you draw, I'm going to use the other tip on this marker. I've generally been using the chisel tip. So if I draw, an airplane, and this is the example I showed somebody last night, as scribbled as that is, oh, Linda's looking forward to that interview. Nice. As scribbled as this airplane is, we get the idea. Now, let's say we'll put another one down below, slightly different scale, so you get a sense of one is larger and closer than the other. So that's our dark value that we've put down for ourselves. We've thought about laying down these images, and we know this is darker than the background. So if I come in now, and I do some clouds breaking behind them, that would work. But rather than drawing the clouds, let's leave those white. And what we'll do is we'll draw the landscape down below. And so, very incomplete drawing, right? That doesn't matter. That's okay for us. We're all good with that. And the reason that we're all good with that is that we'll let this dry for a second, because this is our intermediate value where we're really structuring all of the elements in our drawing, and then we come in with our dark value. We leave out spaces we leave out light areas in the composition for areas that we're not going to draw in on, but we come in with our dark value, and we pick and choose those elements that we want to be in there a little more clearly, and we draw those in after we've got our composition started. So now as we've got our airplanes coming in, we've got the two of them. Now we can also take our dark drawing tool and put cloud cover in the foreground, and we can have some cloud cover around these guys, as though they themselves are flying out of the clouds. Now when you put a frame around that, those elements, you know, the mind's eye starts filling in on the things that we've intimated, I think is the word I'm looking for, in our composition. So right here in this drawing, the planes kind of look like they're sitting on the ground, right? It doesn't necessarily work. But if we try this again, so this is the part of us experimenting and finding our way as we go. And we're not worried about it. This is an exercise. This isn't a finished project. So as we come in and we draw our airplanes, it's a simple thing that we've learned from this one, that if we move the ground forward, okay, and we'll put that frame around it. So the reason that I've moved the ground forward is it's a silly little thing about when the cloud cover goes under the planes now, you get a sense that this is closer to us than the white area of the clouds, and then you can of course complete your clouds and draw lots more of them and make it a little more cloudy. But when you put your planes in now, really basic, we just want the idea of it. So when you put your planes in and they're crossing over this other value, so now you've got the dark area on top of the white area, which and it's also on top of the lined area, but the white area seems to be covering up the lined area. So now you should have a sense of this is closer than this is closer than this. And playing with things like that sort of helps us to understand how we're drawing focus in our composition. If I draw, I'll draw this. This is really, really basic, but I will draw this. Okay? There is our picture. Alright? That's it. Just very, very random and just shapes in space. Okay? And we'll put frame on it for those of you that enjoy those. We're going to let that dry for a second. So right now it's just a mottled mess. Right now it's just all of this orange geometric, you know, shapes that are on inside this box with a bunch of white areas left out. That's it. But when we are looking at something, whether it's in our mind's eye or if it's actually something in front of us or some resource image that we're looking at and working from, we're trying to break that down into simplest components. So when I let it dry and I come in now with the black, and I'm going to draw in this little building here, this background line behind our character. Here we'll have our dude standing before it, like so, and in the sky behind, we're going to draw some clouds. So, because we've got, now the other thing I suppose I could do is to add some interesting intermediate lines like so, but what I'm trying to get across is we know that this guy who's darker is going to draw our attention, our focus. So as we're scribbling with these, just using these three values, the attention is going to be drawn to him because he stands out from his background. Okay, the lines that we see beneath him that move back into the solid intermediate value, what that sort of does is recedes our eye so that this line here is in the distance. But then because this sits over top of the white area, and the white area sits over top of another intermediate solid, it separates this from that. So you realize they're not the same thing. and this is the sky, these are the clouds, this is the horizon, this is our guy standing in the foreground. So it's just playing, right? And I highly encourage people to try this, to play with this idea of utilizing three values to understand composition. Let's put that down there before I forget. 3 values to understand composition. Try it out. Just grab a couple of different mark making tools for yourself, and try this. Try this approach. Look at you squint your eyes if you have to. Some people do that to sort of see things, as tints and shades. It helps you to do that sometimes. But yeah, give it a try. I think you might like it. I think you'll have fun. Okie doke. Let's do today's one-page story. All right. I got orange blood through here. We'll flip it over. No wasting paper for bad behavior. Okay, let's grab the book. And yeah, so anyways, I hope that helps people. That what we just talked about there. What do I got? I got okay, how about this? We got Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. Yes, Jeff Goldblum. And that's suggested by Josh Campbell. So Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. And that's Josh. Okay, so there's our suggestion for today. Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. Yes, okay, yeah, a donut. All right. Okay, so for those of you that came in late, I showed a piece of the new I showed a piece of the new read-alongs that we're doing on YouTube. So check that out on YouTube. That's the first of 20 that I've got ready to go up. And we got some time lapses. We got some slideshows and some other things. But Chris says a dinosaur donut. Dinosaurs make donuts. Yeah, Suzanne says that's a good one. I think so. I think it sounds like fun. So I'll put the zoom on again, and I'll probably get my big head out of the way here. And yeah, let's get crack-a-lackin'. So I'm not worried necessarily off the hop of a frame. So I can do this 2 ways. I can either draw it in pencil, or we can. Now I did a page last week using a marker underneath, so I think I'll just stick to the pencil today and put Goldblum down on paper that way, and then we'll color it digitally and stuff. I'm getting the corner in. There we go. Okay, so okay, I think I'll draw him reflective. How's that sound? Can you see that? I used a dark green so that people can see the pencil marks easier. So I don't have specific. We were talking about. I was talking about this with some friends last night about starting points on drawings. If you find it assists you to lay out the structure of the head and to lay out the structure of the face. Bye, Chris. Thanks for popping in. There's a place in Mexico that prepares dinosaur quesadillas. Oh my gosh. Where do they get the dinosaur meat? I wonder if it's past due. You get it? Anyways, okay. So we're talking about some people like, well, how come you don't, some people draw structure and some people don't. And when they try to draw without structure and they're drawing like the oval for the head, etc., their image looks wonky. And it was a healthy conversation. It really made some of us think about process and how what's going on in our head as we're drawing our images. At least it did for me, and I know it did for my friend Duck, but it makes you think about, well, how do I go about drawing? And what does and does not work for me. So it was helpful. Conversations like that are helpful. The resolution is some of us, well, it's just practice. Lots and lots of drawing. So, see, I do a lot of those calculations and measurements in my head. So sometimes you see my pencil move around, but not actually touch the paper. That is what I came up with as the approach that I take. So, yeah. But it's different for everybody. It's whatever process that you find for you in drawing. Might not necessarily be the same as the next guy. You know. But have fun. Have fun. Allow yourself to do things your own way. Don't worry about the next guy. Or gal. So today I'm drawing Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. There's a funny video of Jeff Goldblum being asked by David Letterman what his favorite food is. And it's absolutely ridiculous. He starts, I can't remember what it specifically is. He starts with, so Jeff, what's your favorite food? And he says, oh yeah, I love all the little different ways that you can make eggs. And wait, no, oh, hot dogs. He just goes, it's massive left turn. Perfectly captures the way his head works. So. You think about if I'm drawing somebody that's you know, recognizable or identifiable, I often think about them, their persona, like how they behave, whether it's if they're an actor or if they're, you know, if they're a type of person, if it's not, you know, somebody that is recognizable. I'll think about, well, what kind of an attitude and identity is this person encapsulating? And so I'll think about these sort of things as I'm drawing and try to get that across in the image, whether it's by their pose or by their expression. You know, poses, when you're drawing those are, you know, it's an expressive way to place the body so that it adds more emphasis on the feeling and the mood or the scene, you know. So this is our Jeff Goldblum. So I thought we'd do right off the hop of introducing him. In our first panel, I'm going to draw him being typically reflective, probably over something trivial. But I want to get his hand gestures in, because Goldblum talks with his hands, right? So it's important that that is part of how we put him in this image. It's an interesting guy anyways. We'll see how I do. Okay, so I'm just thickening up his glasses. So he wears some broad specs. I do as well. Well, I have two sets of glasses. One are thick framed and one are thin framed. They both have very different purposes. very prominent lips, this guy. So we want to get those. And his teeth are always at the forefront of his mouth. Okay. So sometimes as I'm drawing, I'll sort of spot check myself as I'm going. Is that convincing enough for me? Hopefully it's convincing enough for others. There we go. So, Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. It's a fun suggestion if you've got a one-page story idea. Yada, yada, yada. Feel free to put it in the comments. You know what I mean? I kind of say it a few times during the course of any given stream, so. Okay, so let's start. Let's get one of this. Let's get his hand in here. Get him into the image and where he's expressing. He's always got his hands moving around, so because maybe that helps to sell the character a little more clearly. Drawing him with lots of bling. Likes his bling. His hands are very, he's a piano player, so he's got those sort of particular finger movements, you know. These are the coolest erasers I've ever had. This random, inexpensive, paintbrush looking erasers. They work really, really well, you know. So we've given him that coif of hair that he wears these days. Give him a watch. Okay, so here's a good start. I'll give him a bow tie. He's a bow tie guy. There's a really funny commercial with him in it, directed by, I think it's Eric Wareheim, or maybe it's Tim and Eric, Tim Heidegger. Maybe he directed, I'm not sure which one did, but it's a GE light bulb commercial and starring Jeff Goldblum, and it is silly. Look it up online, it's a lot of fun. It's about the Wink Hub. They didn't necessarily use it, so I can imagine it's a little silly. Go get your moist towelette guy. The guy hands him the towelette and he goes, "It's too moist." So here's his shirt going in now. suit jacket on him as well. So there's our start. Get that other ear in there. Man, got some ears. Okay, so here's our first panel and our first Goldblum image. And I'm keeping my lines fairly light. Gives me a lot more choices in the coloring process if I don't, press really hard and blacken everything out. So, okay, so we've got some Goldblum going on in here. Let's get his other. So the reason that I'm drawing right down to the wrist here is that I want to get the hand in the foreground, because he speaks very much with his hands, and they're always moving, and his wrists are always exposed because his jack, he's a tall, lanky guy. So okay, so there's his first panel. And what am I missing? It's just a little more structure in that forehead there. It's just lacking something. Okay, so there's our first panel, our first Goldblum. So, Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. Do we introduce the donut next? How do we go about it? That's, one of those fun asks, right? How do you go about finding the composition as you go along the way? I've talked about this before. There's a tutorial that I'll be posting a little bit later on that speaks specifically to that. How do you plot out the direction of a page, and do you work from a script per se, or do you work from impulse, like you just move along from panel to panel? So yeah, let's just jump right into the next one. So do I want him, let's have him holding his chin. I think that's a consistent Goldblum thing. It's a Goldblum move. So we've got the same Jeff. We're going to turn his expression to us now. Now I could use the same, I could just go into the photo of Shuppies and just keep doing the same image over and over again, and having his eyes move or his hand move. But let's zoom in a little bit for emotional impact. So I'll pull back on the page. So here we are on our cardstock, and we've only used 1/8 of the overall page right now for our first panel. And so the next one I'm going to draw is at the same size. So we've got our Goldblum here. We're going to do another Goldblum there. Not really drawing borders or frames here on the images. Just leaves me open to play a little bit, right? Okay, so let's zoom in on a couple of things. Let's pull in closer on his eyes, so that we can add a little bit of emphasis there to what he's saying to us, just because we've got him closer in the image. That, for those that find Jeff Goldblum hunky, there you go. Oh, yes. Hot dogs. So if anybody has any questions or ideas that they want to put out there, please feel free to do so in the chat. If this is during the live stream. And if it's not, if it's after the fact, you're welcome to put stuff in the comments for the video. Chris, what's wrong with you? I don't know. So I'm moving in on his face. I'm bringing his face, making it larger, and we're closing in on it. So we're trying to keep a consistency with our previous drawing of him, you know, and at the same time adding little elements. You know, we're going to notice a few different details as he gets closer. It's just funny the things that change in a person's face based on your proximity to said face. Okay, let's get going across that head there. What's next? This next lens in. I did a page in the last year of Christopher Walken replacing Jack Nicholson in the movie The Shining. What would that film have been if it was Chris Walken in the cake as the character of Jack Torrance? And stay tuned because to YouTube here, because there's a read-along coming up of that. Of Christopher Walken in The Shining. It's one of our pages that are in this one-page story extravaganza, volume 1. So that's what a lot of the read-alongs are, as pages from the book. So, or also from the next book. What? Oh. So that should be fun. I hope it's fun for you. Some of these voices that I'm doing are terrible. And others are terribly fun. We put a video up today of Corbin and I in the studio having some fun. It's a video we did earlier in the year, but we reworked it and rebranded it with our logo and all that jazz. So, yes. So I'm just getting down to the lip, and we're going to make sure we have that hand under the chin here. So we're moving the position of it from our previous drawing, which is something that he does. Putting those lips in there, top lip. And bottom lip. Again, really prominent feature on his face. Let's get so we can see the shadow a little more clearly now under his glasses. Oh, pencil rubbers, huh? Pencil tip rubbers, love them. So I'm gonna get his eyebrow in. Well, his eye ridge, anyways. Not very prominent eyebrows, and they're hidden underneath the glasses. That's the difference of drawing, like seeing, and just sort of expecting. Like, you know, he's got to put his eyebrows in. Well, his eyebrows are under his glasses, and it's those little things that, as we add those or remove those in our drawings, some of the faces of our people make more sense. You know, when somebody bites their bottom lip, well, that stretches their upper lip. Like, it's the silly things that add up. Okay, so we're gonna get sort of smirk lines in here. He's a smirker. So hopefully this is also, you know, hopefully these are looking like Jeff Goldblum here. Okay, so now we're going to put that first finger. You know, it's not, his hand isn't actually resting under his chin. It's more like he puts it there in this sort of, as though just, you know, it's a pose thing. It's not an actual touching his face in a very physical manner. It's lightly brushing it. It works. Okay, so we'll get his thumb in here as well. So now we've got second hand position. This is going to switch it around a bunch, right? If you've got an aversion to drawing hands, Jeff Goldblum is not a model to use. Because a good part of his personality is his fingers, his hands moving about. Okay, so I'm going to try to drop off my line around the same position across the two images. It's not necessarily important to do so. It's a tidy little page, huh? So here's his thumb. Let's go into that chin. Heavy shadow under the lip. Put his chin in there. Hopefully this is looking Goldbloomy. that a term? Is that a real term? Goldbluming? Okay, let's get that big old ear of his in here. So here's our two images so far. Ideally, the character looks similar enough in both of them for the reader to understand that, oh, that's the same guy. Ideally. That hairline in there as well. It recedes back at the top. Okay. So let's get his a little bit of hair there. Doesn't matter. He's got very pointed ears, this guy. So here's our second Jeff Goldblum pose. How are we doing? We're doing alright for time, folks. So, is there any characters that people have always wanted to see in some kind of contrived way, like Chris Walken in The Shining, or I want more space for that here. I don't know. As soon as you start thinking about what actor and what other thing would be really funny, and then you immediately just sort of forget all actors' names as soon as you start that reference. So we get that strong chin. Same neckline going down to our hand. We'll finish the other fingers in just a sec. Because we've got a second finger that'll go to here. And that one will have jewelry on it because we got jewelry on it there. And then there'll be a third that starts about there. I'll do that same shoulder. His fancy shirt in here. So there. So there's our Goldblums coming in. Now, I'm going to come in a second and do something else. Just for scuds. Just bear with me for 1 sec. I'm going to do emphasis on certain spots, and I'm going to do it as I'm drawing this with red. As I'm drawing this in a dark green, I'm going to emphasize certain areas with the complementary color. And it'll work really good for drawing attention to those spots. Okay, so let's see. I have a red adieu. Okay, let's sharpen this guy up. little bit. Yes, maybe so, maybe not. Oh, better. I went to the red. That one I work right down to the nub. Okay, so I've got this red here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over certain spots. Because sometimes when we're drawing, that is sometimes what we need to find that nice contrast in our drawing, so it helps us to find the character that we're trying to draw a little more clearly, just because there's more attention given to certain areas over others. Like having those glasses in there starts to give real structure to his face. Okay, let's do some shadow here under the nose. Let's get a little more emphasis on the upper lip, bottom lip there. And hopefully, at least for me, I don't know about the viewer, but that starts to draw him a little more clearly together. And then the other part that I would do is that I would separate, like I'm going to separate the hand from the face. You know, a nice dark line around it. Or separate the collars here, the chin from the neck, you know, little things. But hopefully that starts to make him look a little more Jeff Goldblum-y. Jeff Goldblum-y, it's an official expression. Okay, so what I'll do next is contour that face a little bit. He's got a great head of hair, this guy. Jealous! Okay, so there's our first two Jeff Goldblum images. Let's go back to our first one here and put our emphasis points on this as well, you know. So if I've got this hairline in here, so sorry, moved off the frame there. And then we're going to do the same with outlining the hair here. And then, of course, the glasses. I think the glasses are the big thing, that as soon as you start drawing attention to eyes, that tends to help people a lot in identifiably recognizing faces, if those are faces to be recognized. But it's tricky, right? Drawing anybody's a tricky thing, especially if it's somebody that's recognizable to others. You want to make sure that it bears some similarity to them. Oh, that's a loud vehicle outside my house. Jim says, question for Chris. What is the hard rock music you listen to? Hardest stuff, I guess? Well, it depends. If it's math rock, it would be Mars Volta. The Mars Volta used to be some of the members of the band at the drive-in. Really enjoy it. As a teenager, I liked Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, largely because of the jazz aesthetic. Yes. I don't know, Zeppelin, huge into Zeppelin growing up as a kid, and everything. I can't even. But hard stuff, I guess, would be Mars Volta, Rage. Yeah. Neil Sedaka. Pat Boone. Pat Boone's metal album. Dred Zeppelin. Elvana, the new Nirvana with Elvis impersonator as the lead singer. Yeah, that new band. Yes. Yeah, a little bit of everything these days. Okay, so let's pull back. And so the red and the green together draws those emphasis points to the image. So I've still got quite a bit of the paper here yet to do some more panels and do some more poses of Mr. Goldblum, and to keep on kicking on that. So I think it's come together fairly well. Today's suggestions from Joshua Kimball. It's Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. So this is going to be fun to keep going on. I'm going to play one more thing for you before I have to run away here in about 15 minutes. But let's just keep going on with our Goldblum in the interim. So we've got our two hand positions. We've got him, brushing his chin. We've got him holding his chin. So let's have him focus his glasses. How about that? Let's jump to Goldblum focusing his glasses, like tightening his glasses to his face. So we've zoomed in a little bit and into him for some intensity. Let's pull back out again, sort of like a intermediate distance. So if this head's this big and this head's this big, we're going to draw him about that big. Whoops, I'm so sorry. This big to this big, so about the middle would be about that big. So, where would be the easiest place for you to see this? Why don't I draw it underneath? Ooh, yeah. So there's our Goldblums up above. And then let's Goldblum up this part of the page. You get it? I'm going to focus in on the glasses. And we get his hands holding them by their brims. That's interesting. Has anybody got a specific heavy metal thing that they like growing up? I'm not sure if people are familiar with the Mars Volta. I'll write it down. This is the Mars Volta. You can't read that at all, can you? Good heavens, Kristen. Striking out with the mark making tools. The Mars like a planet, Volta. And the album that I like the most is Die Laust at the Crematorium. You know, an easy title. Check that album out. I'll apologize to you later. Play it loud. Apologize to your neighbors right away. That's a test right there. That kind of a reference, that album, because it's math rock. So it's a lot of timing changes. It's a lot of intense stuff. But once it gets going, boy oh boy, if you're driving in a car, you're suddenly 20, 30 miles over the speed limit. Good heavens. Well, I say miles, I don't know how many kilometers to mile. I'm referring to actually referring to kilometers, but you know, because I think like 60 miles an hour is 90 kilometers, so there's a big difference between those. Great title, The Widow. Great song. Hey, there you go. Nice. That makes me happy. I like Tool as well. My favorite song is 42 and 2. Primus. I like a lot of weird things. Jerry's a race car driver. Tommy the Cat. Sailing the Seas of Cheese. A lot of good stuff. Okay, yes. This is the kind of guy that'll warn you about dinosaurs. It's a great album, The Laust at the Crematorium. But man, oh man. I like a lot of different stuff though. That's why I like bands like Ween. Okay, so we've got a third Goldblum coming in here. So this is the one where he's going to be focusing his glasses and doing his little intense yes thing that he does. Hot dog. I don't know why I just said hot dog. You have to go back in the video. So we talked at the start of the video about a way to sort of practice composition in a fast and dirty kind of a way that, you know, can help people with looking at a composition with different planes and using just three values to do it. Where's that good looking eraser? There you are. Oh, good looking fella. If you're listening to Die Laust at the Crematorium and you've got it turned up loud, Don't do that with headphones on. Blow your ears out of your head. So here's our third Go Bloom. I think that you can probably tell some ideas I'm having about the direction of this one-page story, about how it's going to go with Jeff Goldblum eating a donut. Let's get his thumb here. And some fingers up here. Start to tune in these glasses. He's coming together pretty well. So let's raise that pinky up. Raised pinky. And then we'll come through. So it's about thinking about where things are going to go in your drawing as you're going through and moving around the space. Try to keep in mind where things are in relationship to one another. I know that the drawing, just moving around the page and stuff, is a weird way of doing it, but kind of works for me this way. I'll come back in a few minutes with that red and hit those points. What's the point? Well, hit the point. But this is our, there's 1, there's 2, and 3. So he's going to have his fingers along the top of his glasses on this side. That pinky up in the air. So we're doing good. We're doing good for time, folks. Thanks everybody that stopped in today. So I'll be back on Thursday. I've put up a new read-along video for one of the one-page stories that's in the book, the first one-page story extravaganza. And there'll be a new one up tomorrow. If you're following me on Patreon, you get to see it tonight on Patreon. Lucky you. It's going to be a fun one. Kind of having fun doing these, all the different voices and things. So, and thank you for people who've been picking up copies of Alphabet Book. I appreciate that. Thank you, anybody that's doing reviews there and that sort of jazz. It really helps out. Okay, so we've got his two hands coming together here. We've got to put his thumb in here to moor him to his face. Change up that placement of the thumb just a tiny bit. I feel like I went a little too far into the eye. Now I've got the ocean by Led Zeppelin going through my head. So, here's his second hand. And I'm finishing some bonus one-page recordings that weren't included in volumes 1 or 2 of the One-Page Story Extravaganza book. I'm doing a Werner Herzog read-along. Yeah, it's a silly one. Finish putting in the rest of Richard Goldblum's face here. Well, hopefully we got him there. Sorry about that. I hope I wasn't out of frame for too long there. Getting this forehead of his in, and we'll come in and we'll cut in some more emphasis points with the red pencil. Don't forget to put the fingernails in, folks. Oh, I did that myself one time and ruined the whole village. Get the rest of this hand in here as well. Yeah, he's got a fun face to draw, really. keep extending that ear a little bit more. Get that bow tie in here, for however much it appears at the bottom of this image. Might as well push it all the way down to the bottom of the page. Why not? We got the space. Let's just get a little bit more of his wrists in there. So I hope people are enjoying this doodly doing here. Thank you very much, Josh, for the suggestion. It's a fun one. Get this hand in here. Get that watch in there. Gotta keep that consistency from one image to the next, right? If he's got a watch here, he's got a watch there. Put a shoulder line in. And the same on this side. So here's our next gold bloom. And then of course this is all blacked out here down below. Nice contrast in the bottom part there. Okay, so let's come in with that red and punch certain parts again, but just beef them up using a complementary color, which nice and dark in contrast. This way you can get a good sense of Jeff Goldblum and what he looks like when he's lounging in his piano room, which also doubles as his hot tub room. Again, watch the GE commercial with Jeff Goldblum in it. General Electric light bulb switch hub for all of your light bulb needs. Yeah. So I'm putting this emphasis line around the hand to sort of bring it forward from the, move it as a forward plane in the image and push it away off the face. Then we also know that it tucks into as his thumb goes into his glasses. It's a good way to get smudges on your glasses, Jeff. I do the same thing. Hairline, ear, chin. So here's our third Jeff Goldblum. In our page, Jeff Goldblum is eating a donut, suggested by Josh Kimball. Yes. Okay, so here's our next panel. Pull out and we'll see what we're looking at now. Whoops, I forgot to do this. I apologize. I forgot about half of his face here. We gotta put that emphasis on the lips, on the mouth. It's a really important part of how the shadows work in his face. We've got some shadow to go in here as well. I forgot, from the thumb. Okay, there's our Jeff Goldblum number 3. So I'll pull back the camera. So here's our 3 Jeff Goldblums so far. And yeah, I gotta do a couple more. Gotta get that donut in this page, for heaven's sakes. But yeah, I'm having a good time doing this one. Yeah, I appreciate everybody coming out today. It's been a lot of fun. Listen, if you get a one-page story idea, hit me with it and put it in the comments for the video or for any of the social media posts that we're putting out right now. Take a look at some of the new stuff we're putting on YouTube. You'll see it in advance on Patreon, but we're doing some read-along videos of one-page stories that are in the first book, and as well as time-lapse stuff, slideshows, more specific tutorial videos are going to be loading up into that feed. So yeah, take a look. Let us know what you think. If you're picking up a copy of Alphabet Book, please let me know what you think of that as well. All right, I'm going to put one thing up before I bounce away, as promised, and otherwise, I'll see you on Thursday, 2 p.m. EST.
Meow. Wah. Meow. Wah.
I love that Cormid, eh?
Meow. Wah.
That cat's crazy. Okay, thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day.